Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of the Blacklist Season 10, Episode 3. This is episode number 199, which fittingly, I believe that was also the number of the Blacklister in this episode. So we are building towards that milestone, but we're building towards some other interesting stuff here. Reddington's endgame. Is he ready to die? Like, is that actually sort of where we are going? Not that I'm trying to start this video off in like a dark and morbid place or whatever,
It's
but
a dark show,
yeah,
man.
like this episode really puts that idea in my head a little bit. But beyond all that, I mean, there are also a number of, I think, really fun moments throughout. Like this episode really makes you run the gamut of emotions.
Yeah, and one of the emotions I was having is where is WUJING and how is this moving the plot forward? I said this in our preview earlier this week, like we only have 22 episodes. That's
Yeah.
it until the end of the season to wrap up this huge story that's going on with Reddington versus WUJING and everybody on the blacklist. And, then we have this episode tonight where I don't want to call it a throwaway episode because I always love seeing Panabaker, and it was, there was some good stuff in the episode, but nothing moved anything forward. And that's making me frustrated. I feel like I'm you now.
That was me last week.
That was you last week,
Yeah,
and in the premiere where you were like, things aren't moving forward. They're not moving forward. And now I'm in that spot too where I'm like, it's not moving forward. What is happening? We are at a standstill. Only 22 episodes. Let's go.
I think the funny thing is because they gave me Panabaker, I'm not as,
I
I'm
know
not as
you're
mad
not
at them.
salty about it.
I know, as last week I was just like really mad salty, but we do have some interesting things to get into, but as we get into them, go ahead and share the video, help us spread the word of everything we are doing here in this crazy, crazy final season on social media, tell your friends, go to whatever message boards, anything you can do to help get the word out there. It helps us, it gets us more discussion. We want this to be a lively, really fun place as we kind of inch towards that finish line.
Yeah, we've been having a lot of really fun discussion here over the years in the comment section. After every episode, we are here with a video, and it really helps us if you would go out and share the videos on your social media or message boards or anyone that you think might just want to be part of the discussion. We're here twice a week, Tuesdays, Sundays, talking about the show. And also follow us over on our Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV. It is something that we've been trying to build up. We've got lots of fun pictures of sort of us away from the YouTube channel. So if you want to know a little bit more about us personally, check out our bunny, cat, dog. That is all going on over at the Instagram.
All right, let's get morbid, everybody. No, okay. The conversation that stands out to me the most in this episode is ironically one with Reddington and a character that nobody ever is going to care about, which is just like, these pickpocket guys. But in it, he's basically asking...
We cared about him over on Animal Kingdom.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Animal Kingdom was a very good show. Yes, your role here is mostly just to sit there and listen to Reddington as he sort of asks to be sort of read through his clothing, read through everything that he has, the people in his back pocket, like all this sort of stuff. The way that he spoke, especially when he was sort of talking about matters of life and death, it really... Okay, next 30 seconds, there's spoilers for the White Lotus season 2 finale. I love the White Lotus, so I'm going to get into this here. Tanya's dead. Jennifer Coolidge, gone, unless she plays somebody new. But after the finale aired, Mike White sort of went into how death was the last thing that Tanya really had to experience. And I think that Reddington is sort of feeling the same way, where I think he has lived so much life. He's done so many crazy things that I think he is totally not afraid of death. He wasn't afraid of death when, he thought he was going to die at the end of season 8. But I think there's a lot of him right now where he is sort of wondering, what else do I really need to accomplish? Once WUJING is out of the picture, what's left for me? And I think it's sort of putting him in this mindset where he is totally unafraid to put everything on the table, and everything he's sort of working to at this point is the idea of him after he's gone, no matter when that is.
Well, yeah. And I mean, the other sort of element of that is just what WUJING is doing and what he has been doing can't really be put back in the bottle.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the list, the Marvin list that Marvin gave him of all the people that Reddington has betrayed working with the task force. And not everyone knows that he's been part of this task force. That's something that's going to ruin his reputation, take him out of the criminal world in a, fate worse than death. And because this has been, we have a little bit of a time jump here. WUJING's already been working to sort of get everything together. It seems like WUJING's final plan here is not necessarily death for Reddington. It's humiliation. It's pulling apart his reputation. Other things that mean so much to him that Reddington may be looking at this even bigger picture that's like, even if I win this battle and I take him out, you can't put this toothpaste back in the tube. He's already told people things are already unraveling. Like, we've seen where Reddington is living right now. He really is underground with no one around him.
Yeah, and he may be trying to make light of the situation, but there is a sadness to it that he is just alone. There's no Weecha, no Mirasa, no DEMBE by him. Like,
how does he trust anybody after what happened with Marvin? I mean, Marvin is someone that was like, right beside him through so many things. Yeah. Like, if he's going to betray him, everyone's going to betray him.
I think in the end, Reddington just wants the ability to go out on his own terms and have, like, that was, I think, the appeal of Liz taking him out, was that I get to go this way. I'm deciding how it happens. I'm deciding that this is my reputation. This is how it's always going to be. And I think that is a big part of the drive that goes into him getting out Robert Vesco from prison, is that he never wanted Vesco there in the first place. Like, this was DEMBE's thing. DEMBE felt like he needed to do it. Reddington and Vesco, they have a lot of history, but I think at the end of the day, he does care about him, which, by the way, this was one of my favorite moments of the episode, where Vesco is like getting into the car and he sees Reddington and he's just like, I'm not getting in there.
No, listen, Reddington just like poisoned him and then is like, come on into this, hearse, let's go for a ride. Like, listen, we ain't friends anymore. You just tried to kill me. You put me in prison. Now you're asking me to get into my final ride. Like, no, thank you.
It would have been funny if Vesco was just like, police, can I go back to prison now, please? But I think
I'm glad it didn't turn out like that, and that he did get into the car, and we did have sort of that final scene of the two of them on the plane together, you know, sharing a laugh, sharing another book. It was great to see him back. It is the final season. We should be expecting to see more familiar faces.
I think ultimately it's an interesting discussion, because we always know Reddington has an ulterior motive with every single thing he does. And it's inevitable, of course, that that's what Vesco is like immediately going to turn to. Is like, oh, what is the name? This book has treasure in the name. What are you trying to tell me, Reddington? I do think that Reddington did this mostly for the sake of, his soul, and for the sake of doing things that he thinks are necessary to him. I mean, at the same time, if there is a way to use Vesco in an upcoming battle with WUJING, they need to plan out a heist or something else, I certainly think he's going to give him a call.
Yeah, I think the whole sort of theme of this episode for Reddington was having someone in your back pocket. He now has this pickpocket in his back pocket. He's pulled out Vesco. He's got Vesco sort of as part of his group should he need him. But I agree. I think that he did this more for himself. So, this sort of idea that, Robert's been a friend of his for so long.
Yeah.
He never wanted him to go to jail. He did do this for DEMBE. But if there's a way to give DEMBE what he needed, but also give Robert what he needed, to give Reddington ultimately what he needs, then he's going to do that. And I think it had to play out that way for Reddington.
I hope we do get more of DEMBE's sort of reaction to some of this. And I think in general, conversations between DEMBE and Reddington themselves, because we're 3 episodes in, there hasn't really been that much in that department as of yet. And that's a little bit of a bummer, just because I love their relationship. How can you not after this long?
Yeah, and I'll be really surprised if they don't have any mention of this at all and DEMBE doesn't find out, because that was a really important arrest for him that really helped him in his career, really helped him with wrestler and everybody trusting him. Like, he needed that. So the idea that then Reddington would just pop him out of jail and Dembe's gonna know, everyone's going to know. It's Reddington's friend. Like, who else is gonna be doing this, right? I would like to see that conversation at some point this season where Dembe's like, I know what you did. Like,
Yeah.
why?
I think it's important, and I think it's important for Reddington to sort of spell some of this out to us, because he doesn't necessarily tell Dembe a lot of secrets, so we can
No.
kind of take that at its word. Now, all right, the second funniest line in this episode to me is actually really early on with Panabaker and Cooper, when Cooper shows up to her event, and she's just like, "You're a walking hatch act, but I can't even say hatch act correctly."
I thought it was funny when she was like, is your cheese sliding off your cracker? I'm like, oh, that's so sad.
Panabaker was firing on all cylinders in
She
this episode.
absolutely was.
She was so funny, but also there's real weight to what was going on here, obviously, where she thinks that there's this attempt that's being made on her life, and the task force steps in, of course, trying to figure out what's going on. The big problem with this whole storyline, and this is just for me, it's just that the actor who was playing the Secret Service agent, the one who was there most of the episode, he was on Chicago Med until pretty recently, and he was a pretty big character. And so I was just like, okay, if they're getting this guy, he's not going to just be generic Secret Service agent. There's going to be something else going on here. And, lo and behold, he's, selling her out. He's got his own sort of secret thing going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of notable actors in this episode, so yeah, we knew that we're gonna have a bit of bigger roles in it. Are we gonna see them again? Probably not.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Reddington was like, oh, now this pickpocket's in my back pocket kind of thing. I just don't think we're gonna see him again. It's sort of, sometimes on this show, they have these really big characters. Like, everybody remember that whole Skinner thing that was going on? They got the tattoo, he had, that weird kiss, like everything that was going on, and then nothing ever again. I'm just like, I remember. Like, why is this all gone? I remember. And it's just gone.
I had forgotten about the Skinner for a minute there.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember. I mean, a lot of commenters probably like this too. It's just, but it is true. It's like, what the heck do they do? Like, I mean, my I remember is Reddington's sickness that they have magically.
Oh my God,
resolved.
I remember. Where is that? What happened there?
Magically better. Everything is just fine. We're just meant to. It feels like it's sort of one of those things John Bokenkamp came up with, and because he's not on the show anymore.
Yeah, they were like, let's get rid of this.
No, we don't like
it
this.
wasn't working anyways. We never liked it. He's better now.
No, there are some things that just don't make a lot of sense, and maybe some of that is due to sort of the creative changes after Liz is gone. It's hard to really say. Like, the question of, are we going to see Panabaker again? I think there's probably a good chance of that. Like,
I feel like yes.
Yeah, I think she is such like an intrinsic part of the show, and there is a part of me that is just sort of like, if you're going to bring her back for this episode, like, there has to be some sort of larger purpose here. Like, maybe she feels even more indebted to the task force at this point, where whether it is like maybe with WUJING, like 7 or 8 episodes down the road where they need somebody with like higher authority to go in and clear an asset or make something easier for them, Panabaker is going to be able to do that. Or maybe she's involved in the grand mysterious end game of this show where nobody has any clue who's going to be there or what is going to happen. It's just floating out there in the wind.
Yeah, I think one of the issues that's going on with this season, and there's no way to really kind of fix it, is like, in past seasons, Reddington has a crew.
Yeah.
Whoever it is, Dembe, Marvin, whoever it is, the sisters. So there's always someone that he's speaking to where we can kind of get an idea of what is going on in Reddington's head, what his plan is, sort of what's happening. He's cut everybody off. He's by himself. He's living underground. He's not really talking to anybody about anything. So we're now 3 episodes in, and I still don't know what he's doing. Like, what is he doing? He was barely in the premiere.
Yeah.
He's been more, he was more in episode 2. He's definitely more in this episode as well, which is great. More Reddington, more better.
Yeah.
But what is he doing? Like, what is the actual plan here? Like, is he also not interested in just killing off WUJING? Because he could have done that also. We saw them sit down together at the game and like
Yeah.
nobody did anything and no one's attempted to do anything. So what's happening?
It's a big problem with the season right now, and I hope in the next couple of episodes, I mean, especially with the 400, not the 400, the 200th coming up,
Mhm.
we could get a little bit more answers. So that's one disappointment that I have with this episode. The other disappointment, and I'm sure if you guys watched the preview, you can probably see this coming. Brimley, you're here. Where is my big, extravagant animal? Okay, here's tinfoil hat time, everybody. This is what's going on here.
Okay.
They are putting this show together at this point with duct tape, with paper clips, with like, I don't know.
MacGyvering the show.
Yeah, with pennies they're finding in their back pocket. They probably were like, you know, hey, production studio, can we have blah, blah, blah money in order to get an elephant on the set? And they were just like, nope. And so they're just like, all right, you guys didn't even buy, you couldn't, that's like.
Listen, they didn't have to have something as extravagant as an elephant. If they had brought in something, oh, I don't even have her with me. I was going to say a bunny. I have a bunny.
Yes.
And she's white and cute and fluffy. You can see pictures on our Instagram,
Yeah.
like I said. But if they had brought in something that is seemingly harmless,
Yes.
and I mean, bunnies for the most part are, but like when they're mad at you and they give you some sass, they can be, you know, not that nice. So that's sort of the thing is like they didn't have to do that, but they could have like brought in something that is seemingly harmless. And then you're like, what are they going to do with this? What is
No.
Brimley going to do with this?
Yeah, the Brimley return, just whether it was the dialogue, whether it's the lack of animals, it just wasn't fun enough for me. It's just like, I want, if you're bringing in a character that weird, I want it to be really fun. It's like if you bring in Paula at this point, I think we both miss Paula. She hasn't been on in a while. Like, I want that to be really silly, really weird. I want to hear some like weird Paula-isms. It's just, I think you got to really embrace the people that you have because you kind of alluded to it. It's not like there's that many left, especially on the Reddington side.
No, and I mean, they did explain it sort of with the dialogue where he's like, listen, you're old school. I'm going to bring in this old school idea instead, and this is how we're going to go about it. But I mean, for me personally, I said this in the preview, I didn't want to see him just bring in another animal, you know, like he's done that so many times, but we've seen him do some other really weird stuff where it's like, bring in the scuba gear, and you're just like, what is happening? How is this a thing? I can't even imagine how this is going to work out. They could have had something like that where they just brought him in with something else that's kind of odd where you're just like, I don't understand how this is going to happen.
Embrace the weird, Blacklist. You guys can do it, but okay, well, we'll see how weird things get from here on out. But yeah, as we said earlier, you know, share this video around. Help us facilitate this discussion. Tell your friends, like, let's make this into a big Blacklist party here as we get towards that series finale, whenever that may be.
Yep.
And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you here next time.